Guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel or simply not yet subscribed, my name's Brittany, and definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't heard yet, I've also released my very first book. You can purchase it on Amazon. It's all about cryptids, mythological creatures, spirits, and I put my heart and soul into this book, so I can't wait for you guys to dive into it. Anyways, now today we're going to be talking about Dybbuks and the infamous Dybbuk box. What it is, where it started, and why you probably shouldn't buy one off eBay. So Dybbuks are derived from Jewish lore. They're a type of disembodied dark spirit, and they're also known as a kind of Lamara. They're known for their ability to possess and control dead bodies. However, there have been accounts of them possessing the living as well. It's normally women that they possess when it comes to the living, and people who are not very spiritual. Sometimes a Dybbuk will murder somebody just because it wants to steal their body. It's extremely uncommon for people to see the creature in their true form. However, it's never hard to tell when they're nearby because they let off a pretty disgusting smell of like rotten eggs, so like sulfury, or often described as what smells like cat urine. There's usually a cold breeze and a feeling of loss when they're around. So if you were to see them in their true form, they would appear kind of like a transparent jellyfish. They don't necessarily have arms and legs, but they can twist their tentacles together to form them. And their tendrils are about 5 feet in length. They also have a humanoid face. They are very evil and malicious beings that think nothing of harming somebody just to get what they want. They're very selfish. There have been cases where people were mentally ill and it was said that they had a Dybbuk attached to them. Now, the only sure way to get rid of the spirit is an exorcism. They won't just leave on their own. In many cases, the person who is performing this exorcism will often be accompanied by an angel or a benevolent spirit to help them make the Dybbuk leave the person or the body. Sometimes there's a ritual that has to be performed in a synagogue or in front of a minyan, which is a group of 10 Jewish adults, which are usually men. The first step of this exorcism is to interview the spirit. You want to figure out the spirit's name and what they want, why they're taking possession of this body or this individual. And it was believed that if you gained access to their name, that you'd actually gain control over the spirit. Now, Dybbuks were quite interested in sharing. They would love to tell you their evil plots and stuff. It's like a bad villain that likes to tell you everything they're gonna do before they do it. But they love to tell you their plans and their names to anybody who's going to listen. So it's quite easy to get them to talk. And you'll also find out why the spirit hasn't moved on. Now, after this, there are numerous ways of exorcising a Dybbuk. So one of these is that the exorcist will actually hold a white candle and a flask. The exorcist will recite an incantation, command the spirit to leave the host, and they're commanding them to go into the flask, so they want to trap them. When the Dybbuk enters the flask will turn a bright red. It will start to glow, and then that person is free. The exorcism was successful. Now, Dybbuks enjoy material things, and in their natural state, they can't have these material things, which is a big reason why they want to possess the dead or the living, because they want those material things that they can't have. They choose who to possess based off of things like social status, attractiveness, and as far as taking possession of the dead, they want to make sure that the people believe that the person that they are possessing isn't actually dead. And it's very interesting because when they inhabit the body, all signs that this person was deceased disappear. So any bruises, any ailments, all of it disappears and they appear to be living once again. And it's not quite sure if the Dybbuks actually get the memories from this individual that they possess. However, they're so good at acting that they'll be able to fool you into believing that they're the actual human that you know. They do end up tripping up. See, they like to create fear and they enjoy that in us. So they will do things like make their arms an abnormal length, like their human arms, an abnormal length, and scatter it across the floor, or vomit blood, or things like that, because they want to instill that fear. They gain pleasure from that. If the body is too beaten up, the Dybbuk will get expelled from the body. They won't be able to inhabit it because their power is just, their energy force is just not enough to heal it. Then the body would essentially just fall to the floor when the Dybbuk got expelled. In order to prevent the Dybbuk from possessing a corpse, you could do a few things. You could create a protective circle around the body or the gravesite, so that way the Dybbuk could not enter it. Now, this would not only protect the body from the Dybbuk, but it would also make the Dybbuk disoriented for a little bit. So it was quite useful. And even when a Dybbuk is not possessing anything, they're still incredibly dangerous. It's believed that even the touch of them in their natural state can cause our bones to crumble. They can also fill a person with an immense amount of anger. And if you were to accept a Dybbuk's gift, even under the best intention, it will be littered with chaos. Kind of like when you wish with a genie, right? You don't get what you think you're getting. You're gonna get a twisted version of that. These spirits want to avoid fighting in their natural state at all costs, because this is the only true way they can die. They enjoy being alone. They're very solitary spirits, and they are not really a fan of others of their kind. They will even go as far as denying other Dybbuks access to certain bodies. While they're in their host, they sleep and they eat, but they don't need to sustain their human body because their energy is doing that in itself. They're commonly found in cemeteries, which makes a lot of sense considering they want to possess corpses. And there are mixed beliefs on how a Dybbuk is actually created. Some believe that they're a spirit of a person who sinned on earth and are trying to avoid their fate in hell. Others believe that they were cut off from God because they were so evil when they were living. Another theory is that it's a spirit that has unfinished business. Now, in Hebrew faith, Dybbuk boxes are something that a family wouldn't openly admit to having, and it could be passed on from family member to family member throughout generations. However, it wasn't common for it to be passed to somebody that was not in the family. The family often thought that it was their responsibility to contain the spirit, and even sometimes it was a family member in that box. The Dybbuk was a family member. They were essentially a spirit that was attached to that specific household. The box would be the family's greatest kept secret and greatest responsibility. They would hide and protect the box to make sure that it would never be opened or damaged, where the spirit could never escape, and thus protecting people from being possessed. According to Hebrew text, the name for demons is Shadim, which Lilith would be the first Shadim. Now, a Dybbuk is not necessarily a demon, but a malevolent spirit, because the Dybbuk was once a living person, where demons are not once living people. They were never really on this earth. However, or they never really walked the earth, where a Dybbuk once did. So this would make the Dybbuks and their families or the Dybbuk box and their families respected because they were doing a hard task in order to help people. The ritual that sealed the box would have to be completed by a rabbi or a priest, and they would use incantations and white wax to seal the box, to seal every possible exit of the box to make sure that the Dybbuk wouldn't escape. White candles are used for purification purposes and for cleansing power. White doesn't reflect light, which makes it where it doesn't absorb energy. So it's not absorbing that negative energy from the Dybbuk. The white wax will become impenetrable with the spirit, and that's what traps the entity in the box. Now, there have been cases where somebody will purchase a Dybbuk box and they will encounter horrible things because the box had previously been opened and resealed and not properly resealed, and that was never disclosed to the buyer, or people open the box themselves, or the box gets damaged in shipping. So you never want to go and buy one online. I mean, I don't recommend buying one at all, but definitely not going and buying one online. Even without opening the box, people will report very disturbing occurrences. They will smell things like cat urine. They will have horrible nightmares where they'll wake up bruised and having welts on them. They'll be emotionally drained. They'll have incredibly bad luck, and they'll have this uncontrollable anger. So now that you know what a Dybbuk box is and what a Dybbuk box was used for, we're going to talk about the famous Dybbuk box. It is said that even just looking at a picture of a Dybbuk box can curse you. Are you willing to take the risk? I don't know if I truly believe in that, but. So in 2001, this strange box got listed on eBay. It was being sold by a man named Kevin Manus, who was an owner of an antique store. He had bought the box from an estate sale, and the items that were in the estate sale was of a woman who had survived the Holocaust. Now, the woman had died at the age of 103, which is crazy, but she carefully instructed her family to never open that box. The granddaughter sold the box to Kevin at the estate sale, and she also warned him to never open this box. Told him that the box had been in her family for as long as she could remember, and Kevin offered to even give the box back to her, assuming that it was very sentimental to her. And she was like, no, I don't want it, just don't open it. So Kevin took the box back to his shop and he put it in the basement. He went to run some errands, and when he was out, he got a call from one of the employees, and they were freaking out. He went back to the shop quickly because the employee was freaking out, and he got a very strong scent of jasmine flowers, which are known to smell like cat urine. So he went and looked for the source of the smell, but he found that all the lights of the basement had been shattered. So the employee that was very scared, she had told him that she heard this really strange, like disembodied screaming that was coming from the basement. And after that day, that employee was so scared that she never went back. So for some really strange reason, Kevin thought that this box would make a wonderful gift for his mother, and he wanted to give her a nice gift. So he decided to prepare the box, and he opened it. Despite being told never open this, he opened it. I guess he wasn't really told why he shouldn't open it. So I feel like curiosity kind of got the best of him, and he's just like, oh, well, this is nothing. So honestly, if I wasn't told why, and maybe even if I was, I'd want to know for my own curiosity, which probably is not a good thing. Inside the box, he found a little statue with the words Shalom that was written on the statue, 2 locks of hair, and a candlestick holder, a few dried rosebuds, and then there's a few different sources that say different things of the remainder of what's in the box. Kevin's mother came to visit her son at the shop. That's when he decided it was a good time for him to give her his his gift. So he gave her the gift and he left her alone to go and attend to other things in the shop. But when he came back, he found his mother sitting in a chair. Now, she couldn't speak. Kevin rushed her to the hospital. Turns that his mother had suffered a horrible stroke and that she had lost her ability to speak. Now, she had to work very hard to regain even the small amount of speech that she did regain, and she would use a board to talk to people. Now, Kevin went to visit her one day and she spelled out no gift. So Kevin was confused by this, like, no gift. He's like, of course I got you a gift. And she was very adamant, and then she spelled out hate gift. So Kevin immediately knew that, it was the box that caused this, that there was something with the box that caused this. And I can't imagine the guilt that he felt with that. Kevin tried to sell the box to other family members, but they refused to take it. Kevin's sister did take it, but she gave it back only a week after having it, saying the doors on the wine box kept opening and closing. Brother took the box, but he only managed to have it a few days before giving it back. He said that it smelled horrible. Kevin was finally able to sell the box to an older couple, but they also gave the box back, saying that this box is a bad darkness. They left a note saying that in the middle of the night. So that shows you how much they wanted to get rid of this box. Kevin tried so hard to get rid of this box, but he could not manage to get somebody to keep it. So he decided to take it out of the shop and he brought it home. So when he took it home, he started experiencing things that he couldn't explain. He saw shadowy figures. He had horrible dreams that an old lady would beat him. And when he'd wake up, he'd be covered in bruises. Now, he talked to his family members that also had the box for a very short period of time, and they described their dreams exactly the same as his. So Kevin decided to bring the box to his shed in the yard, hoping to stop the weirdness that was occurring in his house. But nothing changed. His dreams continued and he would smell jasmine flowers. So he decided to put the box up for sale on eBay. In 2003, a college student would buy the box off of eBay. He started experiencing weird things just like Kevin had and the family members of Kevin and the other couple. One day he woke up to find bugs crawling all over his house and the box. Both the college student and his roommates also said that they smelled jasmine flowers. They would see shadows. The college student started losing his hair and stopped talking to people. He had the box for a total of 8 months before putting it back up for sale on eBay. Now, during that time, he was writing a blog on the box about everything he was experiencing. A man by the name of Jason Haxton then decided to buy the box. Now, he had read the student's blog, and that kind of piqued his interest a little bit. He bought the box for $280, and he wanted to prove that there was a scientific reason for what was happening with this box. Jason had owned a medical museum, and when he brought the box to it, the computer stopped working instantly. Important data was lost, and the smell of jasmine flowers filled the air. One employee even told him that their grandparents, after Jason had acquired the box, and they begged him to get rid of it. The employees did not want it there. Jason agreed. He'd take the box home, and it wasn't long before he started experiencing what everybody else was experiencing. He saw shadow figures, but the worst came when Jason and his son were watching TV. He saw something weird move out of the corner of his eye, and when Jason turned to look, he saw a large shadowy mass standing directly behind his son. Jason had dreamt that his friends turned into demonic old ladies that would beat him. He would wake up with welts all over his body. At one point, Jason started spitting up blood as he was talking to his wife. He said that he couldn't really explain it, but he started to get really sick after getting that box. He was still on a mission to determine what was the cause of this. He tested the box for anything that might be causing everybody to get sick. All the tests came back negative. There was no scientific explanation. He spoke with paranormal experts who told him that he needed to contain the box. So he did this by putting it in a container that was lined with gold. This worked. And the negative effects of the box started to dwindle. So Jason put the box in a military grade box and buried it somewhere. He then went on to spend 9 months writing a book about what he had experienced with the box. He was able to trace the box back to its original owner and speak to her cousin. The original owner was a survivor of the Holocaust who had purchased the box in Spain at the time of World War II. Her name was Havila, and the information that he learned was because of her cousin. Havila had been using a Ouija board to contact a good spirit in hopes of fighting back against the Nazis. She accidentally released a very evil spirit instead. So she ended up containing the spirit in this box. Havila always kept the spirit in the box as long as she had it, but she couldn't always contain it. She believed that the spirit was the reason for all of the horrible events that would take place in the 20th century, as far as wars and natural disasters. So that leads us to, where is the box today? In 2017, Zach Bagans received the box. Some say that he spent like $10,000 for it, which is a lot of money. Others say that he got it for free. Either way, the box was placed in his museum in Las Vegas. At first, he wouldn't let anybody under the age of 18 even see the box, and everybody had to sign waivers. Said that he was not responsible for anything that happens because they saw that box. In 2018, Post Malone visited the museum. Zach had lifted the glass container that surrounded the box, and he touched the box for the very first time. Post Malone touched Zach as Zach was touching the box, and a lot of people believe that this led to Post Malone being cursed. Right after this visit, Post Malone was on a flight to London when the tires on the landing gear blew out. The plane was able to still land safely, but this isn't a common occurrence. And a few days after that, a group of 3 men had broke into his old house and shot the current owner because they were looking for Post Malone. And then a few days after that, he was in a car accident. He was mostly unharmed, but that's a lot of coincidences. In 2020, Zach decided to quarantine with the other ghost adventurers in the museum for the season finale of Ghost Adventures. And he decided to open the box. According to Zach, there are 10 Dybbuk boxes around the world, like true Dybbuk boxes. And he is in possession of 2 of them. He says that 2 of the boxes are also unaccounted for, possibly buried where nobody could ever find them, or we hope. Now, Jason doesn't agree with this, and he says that there's only 1 true Dybbuk box. But that is the Dybbuk box that brought Dybbuk boxes to our attention, which is pretty crazy. I definitely don't advise anybody to go and purchase a Dybbuk box on eBay. I mean, 1, you might not actually get anything. Let's be real. Like, I'm sure that there are plenty honest people that are selling things that do contain spirits on eBay, but there's also people that are probably not, and you might be out a few $100s for literally nothing. But then maybe that's a blessing, because why are you buying something with an evil spirit? That just kind of sounds like a recipe for disaster, you know? I'm not opposed to owning haunted artifacts. Just try to stay on the good side. I don't know why anybody would ever want to buy something that's going to bring them bad luck in the first place. Anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That's all I have for you guys on Dybbuk boxes today. Let me know if you've ever encountered one. I don't recommend ever opening them. I don't recommend buying them on eBay. And that's it for me today. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to share with me, then make sure that you email it to me at brittanybriereghost@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you guys. And until next time, I love you guys. Bye.